Another day and another keyboard and mouse review, this time from a relative newcomer in the game called Cougar, and they have their Revenger mouse and X3 Attack RGB keyboard up for review. So, how do they perform? Let's find out. Welcome back to Tech Yes City, and the X3 is an RGB keyboard from Cougar that comes in at currently $120 USD, and there is also the accompanying mouse that comes in at $30 USD. But looking at the X3 keyboard first, it is an RGB keyboard that comes with legit Cherry MX red switches rather than clones. This alone, I am sure, is going to make a lot of people happy who are always looking for the real deal, so to speak, but don't want to fork out over $150 plus for a keyboard that features RGB and Cherry MX switches. The actuation distance is your standard halfway down, which does start to put it a tad behind some of the other switches I've reviewed recently, though it will still be fantastic for gaming and typing, providing you aren't prone to making typos like myself, which then you might want a blue switch or something with feedback, which they also have on this lineup. Anyway, the red switches featured here emit a medium level of noise, so to speak, and on that note, I will let the keyboard do the speaking for you. The weight of the X3 is a hefty 1.1 kilograms, and it has black accents at the top with the Cougar logo in the center and milled alloy running under the switches, which does make the RGB light reflect off the keyboard quite nicely. The brightness of the keys have 3 different levels or can be switched off, and besides that there are 3 raw profiles on the function plus F1, F2 and F3 keys that within them have 3 different settings, which allow up to 9 different profiles that can be changed on the fly. Though if you wish to edit these profiles manually, then you will have to download the software, which allows for more customization of the lighting. Though it doesn't allow you to change backlighting individually, it does allow macros and key remapping and updating of the firmware. I found the software though to be confusing and sluggish at times, especially compared to other software that is already out there. Though you also gain the ability to change the polling rate from 125Hz to 1000Hz, and there is an N key rollover function, which when switched on worked quite well. There is also 1 extra level of adjustable height, and coming from the rear is a 2-meter braided cable that splits to 2 gold-plated ends, with one of the cables not doing anything at all, since there is no USB pass-through on this device. Also, there is no included wrist rest or keycap puller, so Cougar have sacrificed on standard included items to make the keyboard have those OG Cherry MX switches. So now, on to looking at the Revenger mouse. This features a PMW 3360 Pixart Sensor, which runs all the way up to 12,000 dpi, and people familiar with this sensor will know it's one of the best out there, having adjustable lift-off distance, which actually works, and also allowing for smooth tracking when in games, and also with the ability to allow adjustable angle snapping for those who want to use it professionally. The mouse features some nice clickety-click action too, with Omron switches loaded all round, and the ability to change 3 levels of DPI on the fly, and also sniper DPI if you macro it to the other 2 side buttons or the flywheel button. The center scroll wheel itself does have a nice firm scroll to it, and the click can be used reliably in games. The mouse weighs in at roughly 100 grams without cable drag, and the shape is very similar to that of the Razer Death Adder, which would make it a palm gripper's mouse in my opinion. The cable itself comes out of the left of the mouse rather than the center, and is non-braided solution, which is actually quite popular with the gaming mouse scene. Now onto comparing the input lag of this mouse to the G302. We can see that it is roughly 10 milliseconds behind, though again this is not exact science, it is still fairly accurate. Which is acceptable, though for a mouse at $60 recommended retail price, I would like to see those numbers come down a tad. The software also allows you to change the DPI and the polling rates all the way from 125Hz to 1000Hz, and there is the ability to create macros, change the RGB lights in 2 different zones, and remap the switches. So now on to verdict time. The X3 keyboard and Revenger mouse are very solid options from a hardware standpoint. You get RGB lighting and Cherry MX switches. It comes in at $129 recommended retail or 159 Australian dollars, which is $29 over their non-RGB edition. Whether a $29 premium is worth the RGB lighting is up to you. I even think the non-RGB version is going currently for just under $70, which makes it a steal since it is loaded with legit Cherry MX switches. The X3 RGB version, however, is pretty fair value at $120, though I would honestly love to see an included wrist rest and keycap puller, and also think the software could use some touching up. The Revenger mouse was also quite solid. It boasted good build quality and had some excellent specs, though it is entering an already highly competitive market, and at $60 USD, it is quite an ask, especially against other brands that have already been in the market for so long. Lastly, Cougar also sent out with the review samples a bungee and a mousepad. These were actually really nice to use, with the XL full desk mousepad coming in at $17 USD or 20, depending on the color scheme, and the bungee coming in at $17, which makes both of these two accessories easy recommendations, especially for the mousepad. Anyway guys, if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to hit that like button, and if you disliked it, then be sure to pop a dislike down there, and let me know guys, have you tried a Cougar before? I know they can be quite comforting sometimes, and I'll catch you in another tech video very soon. Peace out for now, bye.